Prasat Kravan, a 10th century temple, surrounded by a small moat. Up until recently it was empty of water. It's actually a beautiful compact little place. It's got 5 towers, pretty well restored. Moonstone steps, quite big, probably the biggest we've seen. And the tiered tower. Let's go and have a look at the other side. Having read about the restoration, you can see some of the original bricks, but if you look very closely, there are bricks that are branded and they've got CA written on them. Apparently that is a more recent restoration, back when the French were restoring. Absolutely beautiful carvings inside 2 of the towers. Well restored and out of bounds, you can't go in here. And if we look on the door frames, there's some ancient script as well. And further outside the door, the columns. The towers are independent, except they all sit on a basic common shared platform of bricks. Here's a gap between 2 of the towers. Inside the second tower, no evidence of any carvings left in here. The third tower, some beautiful decorations inside, you probably can't see them. And again, script on the doorways. Another tower. No decorations inside here either. And as we look outside, you can see the Apsara paid staff, whose job it is to control the constantly growing vegetation. Pretty basic tools. Does the job. Wouldn't want to have a fight with someone that has one of these in their hands. And the last tower, again, no decorations. There's only decorations in a couple of them. Have a look up at the roof line. And looking out, there's a walkway that leads up to these towers. There was probably a gapura built on the base that we see Kathy standing on over there. Beautiful central tower with some guards each side of the doorways, and with a lot of the temples, lions out the front. So looking back away from the morning sun, we can now see the 5 beautiful towers, possibly from the gapura or the entrance gate. This little temple is also offered as a place to come and have big celebrations by one of the big hotels in town. You can hire space in front of these temples. They set up marquees and tables and music, We haven't seen it done yet, but it is advertised locally. A small but beautiful temple, probably only worth 15-20 minute visit, or you can stand a lot closer inside two of the towers to have a closer look at some of the depictions in there. And you can see that 3 of the towers have lost most of their upper levels. The central tower is probably a sign of what the others possibly look like to a smaller scale. Over the side here is possibly a library. Most temples had libraries. We look back at these temples, these are east facing, which is generally the rule. The open doors are to the east. So further to the east of the temples there are people's homes and some rice crops. But we'll have a look back at the temples. Really quite pretty when you walk up to them. It's very rare that we'll be able to get photos here with no one else in the pictures. Often little minibuses stop here, people pile out. They only stay for about 10 minutes. But we're quite lucky today to have the blue sky and have only the Apsara workers who are really part of the establishment. Prasat Kravan, and in the distance there's a few seller stalls, always eager to sell scarves and other souvenirs. There we have the moat around, it goes all the way around. Many of the temples have these little information shelters. They have it written in Khmer. Well, Kathy can read a little bit of it, but I can't read any of it. I can use Google Translate. But luckily many of them have quite detailed information in English as well. And often these will also have the projects that are being done, who they're being funded by, and when they're likely to finish and what it is, the changes that they're doing. But the pictures that we couldn't see properly as we're up close to the temple, there's some of the ancient script on the doors. Here's some beautiful carvings here in the first and third towers. And all of the towers have above the doors some stories as well. You can see that they've all been restored, but they're subject to the erosion pretty quickly. And just a little bit of adult content. Here are a couple of beautiful butterflies doing what they should and taking their time about it. Aren't they beautiful? Leave you guys alone. As with most of the temples, they're surrounded by centuries-old trees. Over there behind this tree there are a couple of Apsara staff who are actually sharpening their nice big blades on some whetstones. But what I wanted to show you was this is what also happens to some of the big trees. The authority does go around controlling the trees, cutting some down, cutting some limbs off them. One recently happened to fall and cause a fatality, one of the big famous trees. So they might be old, but when they do fall down, they make a big crash. And talking about the trees and them becoming unsafe, this is an example of what happens to the trees, causing them to lose their abilities to stay up. So holes will appear, termites munch away inside, and the fungi starts breaking things down as well. So eventually this tree will succumb and I would imagine the sheer size would mean the risk assessment says that it's going to have to come down one day. Strangler figs, also quite prominent. Good example of one here that's of a fair age. The tree is still surviving, but the fig has taken hold as well. Hats, clothes, coconuts, cold drinks. Oh, they've left us alone today. They've just asked us if we want a coconut. Just say otte akun. Simply means no thank you. But you have to learn to say it many, many times. Don't take no for an answer. But they're only trying to make a living.